another hat I wear. I'm a real estate developer. So I was in the middle of building 16 homes before the recession hit. So now I'm not doing that because, you know, times are different now. But anyway, what led me to write The African American Art of War is because of, you know, in class, and some of you have had my classes before, we go over these stats. And some of these stats are overwhelming. Right now, the African American community is the most unpartnered community in the world. Okay? There's no other segment of society that's more unpartnered than we are. Right now, our young women are having roughly 1,500 abortions per day. Black women are 6% of the population, but they represent almost 70% of all the new cases of AIDS. Black men are about 5% of the population. We're over 82% of all the people diagnosed with prostate cancer. We lead in America right now as being the most obese folks in America right now. 1 out of 4 teenage black girls have an STD. So we deal with some of these stats and some of these things, and they're really just overwhelming. Okay. Right now in our community, we have about $1 trillion that float in our community every year. But with our attitudes as they are, we give 95% of all of our disposable income, we invest it in white families. And we only give our children a nickel out of every dollar that we have. Again, that's 95%, 95 cents out of every dollar go to white families, and our children we invest a nickel in. So I wanted to see if I can put something together that can inform us about some of these things, and it's a lot. We have a lot of ills. We almost lead in every category when it comes to some of the social ills in our community. So I want to put something together that can help change the tide. How can I not only identify what the problems are, but how can I share a solution on how we can fix some of these things? One of the things is the economic part that we deal with in class. Each of us have the power to change that. We do not have to shop outside our community to the degree that we do. We can change that by investing in our community and investing in doing right by our children. Now, this is something that after this book signing, something that people can do and just be conscious of. Just Detroit, for example, we spend $2 billion a year in the suburbs. $2 billion. So while we invest in $2 billion in the suburbs, we are creating jobs for whites. We create jobs in the city for Arabs, for Hispanics, but we're the most unemployed folks. So we're investing outside, and other children are reaping the benefits of our investment, while our children are the most unemployed and adults are the most unemployed. So this is something we can change. Each individual can just be conscious of, I'm going to spend the majority of the money in my community and the least amount outside. And I know we don't have every single thing in our community, I understand that. But neither do other people. So some people will come to, you know, the Lions football games or the Tiger stadiums or the Fox, but they spend the majority in their own community. See, during the Civil Rights Movement, we had leaders who fought for us to have a lot of the things that we have today. But there are very few books out there teaching us what to do with those gains. So we have those gains. We are doctors. We're lawyers, we're teachers, but a lot of us haven't been taught how to deal with the benefits that we have received from the Civil Rights Movement. So you would be in a conversation talking to somebody about the Republican Party, which most of us talk, you know, about some of the things that they're doing to undermine some of the gains that's been made in the last 40 years. The recent one, they got rid of affirmative action at U of M and Michigan State. They were part of that. And after that, you know, enrollment at U of M and Michigan State has decreased. So you have some of us who live outside of Wayne County complaining about what the Republican Party is, have been engaged in. But at the same time, many of us, when we move outside our community, that's why other groups just don't move around willy-nilly like that, because they understand there's political power that's connected to you moving and your tax dollars going to a certain community. Now, we will move to other communities, and there may be a powerhouse for the Republican Party. like Oakland County, if you will. So our tax dollars, we pay taxes that go to strengthen our political adversaries. And then we complain about what our political adversaries are doing in relationship to public policy and how it affects us as a community. Because we haven't been taught. This is why other groups don't do this. Right now we have, in this world, we have roughly 190 countries on the planet. We have 5,000 different ethnic groups. But only one ethnic group find a greater desire to be away from itself than with members of its own family. Only one. That's the African American community. And because of our collective thinking, that pattern is creating devastating impacts on communities the communities that invested in us for us to make it, for us to become the teachers, the administrators, and the doctors and lawyers. But how we currently think, we don't have a cultural connection with the very community that made it possible for us to be. And you see the devastation that follows. Our parents in those communities invest in us. They love us and nurture us along the way. We get our degrees and we leave those communities. And other communities reap the investments. They get the return of our community's investment. Do you understand this? Wayne County. Our parents for years have been keeping this millage. They've been voting for the millage, keeping tuition low. Our classes are roughly $200. Over at UAD and Wayne State, it's almost $2,000. People are making sacrifices for people who go here to get an education. And the investment, there's supposed to be some returns connected to that investment, but we don't do it. So the African American Art of War teaches us how to deal with some of the problems that we have and ways that we can change what's going on. Some of you, I don't know if anybody thinking, some people who have my classes have actually read the African American Art of War. But if you have any questions in relationship to some of the stuff I just said, feel free. Anybody, not all at one time. Get some water. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. Go ahead.
This is one reason that I had such a problem with Robert Bob and how the state of Michigan brought this man in. Well, England was the first one, and then they brought in Robert Bob to just more take over our Detroit public schools. So I had a very big problem with that.
Now, actuality, you know, we got to remember that, you know, Bob came in after we devastated our schools. We don't support our schools. We have graduated from these schools and we have left these schools behind. We have sucked them dry of the resources. Most of these schools have given to us, but we haven't given back. We refuse to send our kids to those schools. We refuse to be invested in education like we should. And then came Robert Bob. But if we were on our job, it's just we have a lack of commitment to the very things that got us here. Every school I have worked at, to some degree or to another degree, despite the Bible's admonition not to hide your light under a bushel, our parents and their struggles and their sacrifices, we push to the wayside. That tradition, that rich tradition that help us receive a lot of the benefits and opportunities that we have today, we push to the wayside. So we become like a new people in an old world. So the relationships and the wisdom connected to the relationship that we could have, we don't have those psychologies anymore. The cooking and things that Big Mama did, we feed our kids junk food. You see, people made tremendous sacrifices, and it's a rich tradition. I often tell people how our parents tell us how they lived in communities where they left the doors unlocked. And some people say we even used to sleep on the porch and wouldn't nobody mess with you and things like that. And the fight that I pose at every school I go to, can we study our parents' mindset? Can we have their psychology imparted to our students today? Because if you do, you have those communities again. But we study the majority of our curriculums focus on the mindset of the oppressor, not the people who fought against oppression. So right now we're in a dilemma where we go to school and we're taught that the white man is the father of history. The white man is the father of medicine. The white man is the father of science. The white man is the father of psychology. The white man is the father of philosophy. He's a philosopher, the father of